So we're at the South Road properties in the vicinity of what used to be Kawit Island, and several meters away on that side is the last remaining patch of corals in Cebu City, which we call the Cebu City Reef. My name is Karlon. I'm a master diver and dive instructor who volunteers my time and service to the Night Stewards of the Sea. And what we do is we protect the coral reef. Sometime in December, while speaking to a local fisherman and telling him about how Cebu City no longer has a living reef structure, he told me that they are still able to fish at a certain place here. And together with the rest of Sea Knights, we conducted a dive and we discovered the reef, the pinnacle at 8 meters and the bottom of around 23 meters. And although this reef is small, this represents hope, because for the last several decades, we've been introducing a lot of human activities near the coast, and it all but destroyed this coral reef. And now we find that there is a living vestige that is still there. And it becomes our job and our primordial responsibility to help conserve and allow this reef to recover. I began this policy reform as part of a course that I took on development entrepreneurship with my mentors, Attorney Erwin Tiamzon, and I told him about what I wanted to do, and with his guidance, we were able to start this development initiative to protect the coral reef. I am with the city government, and I began work in the city government right before my course in development entrepreneurship. It was purely by accident. I went to City Hall asking a friend of mine for help in getting a quarantine pass because it was in the middle of the COVID lockdown. And he offered me a job and I accepted it, and it has become a way for me to introduce this reform and get the necessary support and resources from the city. Under the course, we were told to study the landscape, and when I did that, I did the research on what are the existing laws that align with coral reef protection and coastal management, and I learned that there is a city ordinance that creates the Coastline Management Board and assigns unto it jurisdiction over the 16 coastal barangays of Cebu City. I thought that that was a great place to start the initiative, so I worked to have the mayor, then Mayor Edgar Labella, to issue an executive order convening the board. Now, upon further study, we found out that their interest was only on the maintaining the coastline and not working on the coast. So I thought it necessary to introduce new measures. The creation of an ordinance that declares the area a marine protected sanctuary or a fishing sanctuary or a marine protected area. And that ordinance, I learned, requires technical study. So we did partnership with the Cebu Technological University to conduct a marine biodiversity study, and it has become the basis for us to draft the Marine Protected Area Ordinance. Right now, we're at the level of drafting the technical side of the ordinance, and it requires a mapping of the area. So we're doing a mapping of the area in the next couple of days that will tell us where the main structure is and where the fringe structures are. And that now becomes the core zone of the Marine Protected Area. And then we add to that a buffer zone, and now we have a polygon that will define the boundaries of what we want to protect. What makes this reef special is the damage that has been done to it over the last couple of decades, and it is still there. So there must be something in that reef that we can observe and replicate and bring to other areas and help these other areas recover. And the community which we want to engage will be a huge part of that. If you want to start a reform, just start it. And in the first binding constraint that you face, sidestep, think of new ways, think of new approaches, and begin. There is no right time to start. There's no proper conditions to begin your reform. Just begin your reform. Second is, it's not a linear process. It is not a linear process. It's a cyclical process. A lot of times we learn about the reform while we're doing it, while we're going through the reform. Next is learn about what works. Learn about what works and apply what works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Find out what is already there. Find out how you can adapt it to your reform and adapt it to your reform. And that's the key takeaway here. there is no perfect conditions to start or end a reform. Our reform continues as long as the problem that we identify is there. And we don't give up. We never ever give up. Development entrepreneurship looks at the value of finding ways, and we need to. We have to. Otherwise, the problem wins.